So as the email said, we are going to be talking about COVID-19 because my assumption is that this sort of threw a wrench in a lot of your chapter events and your lives. And so trying to reframe what it means being an alumni chapter and a volunteer when events don't look like they used to and there's a bit of uncertainty. One of the first questions most chapters have is True Blue, and what are the requirements? So the requirements are going to remain the same, and that is the assumption that chapters will aim to have an alumni to student event, alumni to alumni event, alumni to community, and replenishment grants. That being said, you can sort of redefine what success looks like for COVID. It's a chance sort of to be creative and to sort of think of doing things differently, right? A lot of times we say, okay, our alumni to alumni is our speakers bureau. Our alumni to student is a student gathering. And we can do things a little differently. So if you've always wanted to try something new, sort of within sort of the parameters of COVID-19, now is a good time to try it. I encourage all of you to utilize the Facebook group. If you don't belong, you can ask to join, but it's a place where you can sort of pose questions to other chapter chairs. So you could say, hey, I'm trying to do this event with students online. Has anyone done that? Have they seen success? What should I sort of look out for? So sort of a way to have a chapter to chapter discussion outside of just the fall conference so that you guys can talk to each other. And then the other thing I think is important, and this is sort of time of COVID and not time of COVID, is to use the reporting system. So if you do something, make sure you go to Alumni 3, the toolbox, go into the reporting system and record it so we can sort of recognize all the good work that you're doing. So at this point, I'm just going to sort of go through the 4 True Blue categories with some of the ideas that people sent to me, and then we'll have a couple of the chapters talk about sort of what their programs look like. So right now, we're usually finishing up the season of student send-off. So it's very hard to do a barbecue or a pool party when people can't get out. So a few of the ideas that we've seen is to send the swag bags to the new students. So as you know, our office will provide you with pencils and song cards, and you could also put some other things in there and you could send those to the new students in your area. You could also host a student send-off over Zoom. The thing that's nice about that is people can put faces to names so that they can sort of know someone before they get here. You can celebrate on social media. Sarah, are you on the call? Sarah? So Tampa, Florida did this, where they sort of reached out to their new students and they were able to highlight them on social media. My one thing with this is when you do highlight students, make sure you get their permission. So hey, Holly, I know you guys did this in your area. Do you want to talk a minute about how that worked for you?
Sure. We, on Alumni 3, sent out a blast email to everybody on that had just graduated, in addition to the new students. Sorry, we also did the graduates. But we first of all did it to the new students who had just, been accepted to BYU, and we got a lot of cute little pictures, and we asked them to answer 3 questions: what they wanted, what they were excited to go to BYU for, and what they were going to miss most, and just what they were going to major in. And then we had a cute little graphic. The person who does our social media has been really savvy. She works for Senator Murray on Capitol Hill, and she's she's wonderful at doing cute little things. And she made a little graphic, and she posts every week, maybe 1 or 2 students, and we've had a lot of success with it, and it's just been a really fun way to connect despite the fact that we're all sitting in our own homes.
All right, thanks, Holly.
That's
so let
cool.
me go back to
Sharon. Kelly, you mentioned the importance of getting the permission. I made the mistake of a couple years ago, publishing a list or something saying congratulations to everyone that got admitted, and got in trouble for publishing it because I didn't have all of their permission. So
yeah. So
just because people got admitted doesn't mean they're going to go to BYU. So that was the problem.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that, Taggart. And sometimes it's easy to forget, we're all human. Another idea, if you wanted to sort of invest a little more time, is to sort of get the new student list and then ask if any of them want to be connected to an alum in your area to sort of have a mentor. And that sort of alum in the area could sort of adopt the new student and sort of fill them in on things about Provo. So I think this could be a fun opportunity to engage younger alums, so the 20-somethings who just graduated and 30-somethings. So those are some of the ideas that we're seeing our chapters do right now for alumni to student. Okay. Alumni to alumni. So we can always set up a Zoom call for you. I know a lot of chapters already use Zoom for their meetings, and a lot of the chapter directors, when they meet with their chapters in their region, also use Zoom. So feel free to utilize that resource, and we can do it for longer than 45 minutes, and we can have a larger crowd than those who are just using Zoom for free. So you could use the Speakers Bureau list or people you know in your area or who would like to speak to do this and sort of try to have a webinar. That might be something to get people who don't normally come out to Speakers Bureau. You could also do a fireside. So please feel free to utilize Zoom. Roy and I can, of course, set those up for you. The next thing that you can do is host social media giveaways. So I'm going to hurry and switch this to Chapterpedia. So if you go to Chapterpedia and in the middle column, click on social media guidelines, this is at the bottom of that page. And Shane Westwood, our communications person, put this together for us. And this sort of gives you sort of some of the basics of what to do when hosting a giveaway. And so the thing that's nice about that is we can provide you with some items. We can't do anything really flashy, but we have a bunch of t-shirts. We can send you some t-shirts. We have a bunch of those pins with Cosmo and the Y and some mini footballs or whatnot. So reach out to us and we can work with you in sort of getting some items that we'll send to you if you want to sort of use the opportunity to grow your social media and do some giveaways. So that's something to help you with the alumni to alumni category. Alumni to community. So service projects are something that's sort of easy to do from a distance. Corinne, in the end, was not able to make the call, but Dallas did a service project where they made face masks, where they were able to sort of gather the fabric and distribute it amongst the members of the alumni community in Dallas to make face masks. And this was sort of in March and April when things were needed. But there's an easy opportunity to serve. And if you go to justserve.org, it will sort of highlight some of the opportunities in your area. And the other thing is to share positive alumni stories that are coming from your area. I know we sort of put a call to arms for all of you last month because the magazine wanted to focus on stories of people on the front line. So please keep us in the loop and then also use it as an opportunity to, again, focus on growing your social media and engagement and sort of giving us those positive stories and then highlighting them. Replenishment grants. How do we raise money? So here are a few ideas. One is a virtual race. If you go online, if you just search it, there's a lot of things that come up. This was one I liked, was this how to host a virtual 5K. They had some really clever ideas. One was creating a playlist to give to everyone that's running the 5K, which would be sort of fun to have the Cougar Fight song, you know, sort of start as people are doing the virtual 5Ks. You can also do marathons. You know, there's a whole host of ways to sort of help raise funds doing these virtual things. And some people might feel like overwhelmed with that. You know, there's a lot of virtual events, but my guess is sort of those true blue alumni would look at this as an opportunity to sort of support replenishment grant chapters and exercise. And then I know a lot of chapters are doing t-shirt sales with custom ink. The nice thing about custom ink is they have permission to use our logo, so you don't have to jump through that hurdle. So those are sort of the ideas that sort of I was able to gather from you. And one thing that I want you to be aware of, though, is to sort of be okay doing things on your term. One of the sort of interesting things about sort of this pandemic is everyone sort of has a different comfort level, and that's okay. So sort of feel free to do things that feel right to you. Don't feel obligated to do things if you're not comfortable with it. And then also be respectful of other people's comfort levels. Live events. So I know that some states are opening up and getting more open than they were. The first thing is to stay safe and also, you know, be cognitive of what makes you comfortable. And then make sure you follow the local and state guidelines. And then again, be respectful of others. So the Chapter Leadership Conference, we are having a Chapter Leadership Conference, and the date for that is October 7th through 10th. What it looks like is uncertain, right? One of the things about COVID is we're all learning sort of the talent or skill of sort of living with a lot of uncertainty, and we don't know. So right now, our office is focused on hosting an event here, planning on hosting an event online, or maybe a hybrid of the two, because we're not sure what the direction from BYU will be, but we want to be prepared when we get that direction that we'll be able to act. And when we know something, we will pass it on to you, because we want you to sort of be in the know, and then also know that we're thinking about you. We want you to be able to get the training. We want you to feel connected to BYU, and most importantly, we want you to feel celebrated, all the success that you all are doing as chapters. So that is sort of the presentation based on sort of the information gleaned from the survey. And then now I'm going to turn it over to Michael Johansson to sort of go through the chat questions and ideas.
Great. So a couple of questions that are coming up here. You can actually read through it if you want to, but one of the questions was on the student lists, if a student shows up and they're not supposed to be on that list. So we'll look into that, and that was from Tiffany. And let's see here. The question that we have here so far is from TJ and asking about a plan for a virtual conference. And yes, we have, we're marching down the road of 3 scenarios, and just correct me if I'm misspeaking here, Kelly, but we have a full virtual conference, a hybrid, or a all in-person conference as normal. So we're planning for those 3 scenarios, and we will keep everyone updated as quickly as we can from the university standpoint. We are waiting for the university to give a little bit additional guidelines. As you can expect, and as we all expect, the student-based decisions are a priority right now, and we're definitely keeping an eye on that. But other decisions will be made very closely to those as well. Next question.
I have a
from
question,
Bronson.
Michael. What about like for the fall conference? What if we just did a survey with all the chapter presidents and said, if it were in person, would you want to come? And just so we can get an idea of.
They already sent that out.
Yeah, we did a survey.
Oh, okay.
It's about, with the respondents who responded, it's about 50% will come for sure, and the other 50%, it depends. And so that.
Maybe I responded to that. I can't remember.
Yeah. Oh,
got so many surveys.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so we have, and like I said, a lot of it depends on what BYU institutionally tells us, right? And so, like I said, we're sort of proceeding, it is happening, and we're proceeding as if it's going to happen either way. And so our hope is obviously that we can welcome everyone to campus, but we know that that is a hope, and we don't know if that's a reality. So I'm going to hurry and answer, everything is moving. Tiffany's question about how do you get students for your chapter. So Tiffany, if you go to Chapterpedia, not Chapterpedia, Alumni 3, the toolbox, there will be a column called Students. And if you go click on it, you can get the new student information, and it will provide their email.
It's just we have some students that are in like Florida or Tennessee that show up on our list.
If you could send those to us, and we'll track those unique cases, because they shouldn't.
Yeah, there's only 3, but there's like 2 of them even says Florida like chapter, but it shows up on ours. One of them, I think it doesn't say the chapter, and I think the address is just like Tennessee or something like that. So we just look at that because we're giving, we send out an email to all of our students that are going out to BYU. We're giving them a free shirt for our student send-off. We designed a BYU Georgia shirt.
Yeah.
So they can go out with their Southern pride in Utah. So anyway, so we're giving them a free shirt. And so we were emailing all of the students, and we were noticing that there were some students that are not in our chapter I mean, we also included one Savannah because there used to be a Savannah chapter, but now there's not. So we could just go ahead and include all of Georgia, but there were like maybe 3 or 4 that were in a different state that showed up on our list.
Tiffany, sometimes what happens is the records that we have from our student alumni, from the student database from the university, is based on the application form that they first gave us. So often that's on their permanent record. And then they get here, they change their address, their parents move. You never know exactly what may have happened, why you might have somebody from another state. Now, many chapters have multiple states, of course. Yours is one that wouldn't because you're in the center of the state. So it is a little strange that it's there. If you'd like to send us the names of those, as Michael suggested, we'll see what we can do to, we can check with our IT guys and see if there was any mistakes. But it's very likely that they started in your chapter, but then had something happened and they moved out. But their permanent records haven't changed in the student database.
It just
So
allows
that's
us
something
to,
that's always possible.
yeah.
Okay.
Just allows us to go into the back end programming and see if there's a bug or a misstroke or something like that. So
Yeah, if we have those names, we can check them out.
Yeah, and I just didn't want, if their chapters are actually doing something for student send-off, I don't want them to miss out on it because they're on our list or something like that. So
yeah.
No, thanks, Tiffany.
Good
Well,
call.
like if you could send us those names, we can sort of see what's going on the back end. So I saw a question on about the True Blue requirements. So they're going to be the same, right? We sort of with that expectation, but I think there'll sort of be flexibility with what that looks like. So like I was saying, a social media giveaway could count as sort of an alumni engagement activity as opposed to an event. Just sort of given what's going on right now. So there's some flexibility there. It just sort of needs to meet with your committees and decide what works best for your chapter and sort of what you want it to look like going forward for the rest of 2020.
We'll certainly be, like I said, we'll certainly be flexible and encourage creativity. This is an opportunity to draw on those creative juices and do some fun things. If you have any questions about whether or not it qualifies for that, check with your regional chapter director or with one of us as well, and just run it through that process, and we can definitely give some feedback on the specific questions you have.
And then TJ, I can send you the slides after the training. And if anyone else wants my magnificent, boring PowerPoint slides, you can also have them. So,
One idea that we did for an event last year is we just said, we picked a football game and we said, host a watch party at your house and post a picture of it. There has to be at least like 3 families represented for it to count as an event. And it was kind of fun because people posted pictures and, it was kind of online, but kind of at home. And anyway, it was easy, but fun.
that's a great idea. Thanks.
Do we know if football is happening in the fall?
I think the nation's going to let us, is all asking that question as well. So there are conference questions, there are nationwide questions. So I guess the short answer is no, we don't know if the season will take place in its full glory at this point.
Do we know if school will take place?
That decision is going to, if the university did make the announcement that they will be determining that in July or before July.
Great, thanks.
Yeah, sorry, I wish I had more information.
Right.
Our teams ask that same question every week, and we just wait for the direction from the church, from the church educational system, and from the president and the president's council.
Hey, Sarah, I see you're on the call right now. Do you want to talk for a few minutes about what you did for your student send-off?
I definitely can. I didn't think it was that big of a deal, but I totally would love to talk to you about it. So I just submitted an email to be sent out to all the new students that got accepted. And I just the email just said, can you tell us a little bit about you? Since we can't have an official send-off, we'd like to spotlight you on our Facebook page. So I got a few people that responded. I actually should check again. I might have more. We got about 3 people, I think, that responded, and they sent pictures of themselves, and we did a little highlight of them. And it was really cute. It was really fun to get to know some of the students going from our area. And that's all we did.
Right,
Easy.
Thanks, Sarah. So are there any other questions? I just wanted to sort of make it quick, to respect your time and just let you sort of get different ideas, because sometimes it's sort of hard to think outside of the box. We at Alumni will support you. We want it to be a positive experience, even though it may not feel positive from day to day. So just please let us know. Utilize the Facebook page, for asking questions. And then again, always know that you can give us a call, and you can also call your chapter directors. They're great resources. And so as always, I'm so grateful for the opportunity I have to work at BYU and to work with you, all of you volunteers, and see the amazing good work that you do for both BYU alumni and the people in your region. So thank you. I'm grateful to see your stewardship to BYU alumni. So have a great day. And again, thank you for all of the great work you do.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kelly.
Yeah, bye.
Thanks.
Bye, everybody.
Kelly, bye.
Yeah.
Kelly, I have a question.
Yes.
Yeah.
I know that we have the Speakers Bureau. Could we arrange a Zoom meetup with like a Zoom lecture kind of? Okay.
So just look at the Speakers Bureau, make the invite. In the invite, make sure you sort of say this will be a Zoom. And then when I work with the professor, I'll let them know that this will be something over Zoom as opposed to traveling there. And then also, if you want to invite someone who's not necessarily on the Speakers Bureau, we can also organize a Zoom for that person.
Do you
And
have,
then
go ahead.
So you would be the host of that Zoom?
Yes. So
okay.
I don't know if your chapter director has Zoom meetings with you. Usually Roy and I are the ones that set that up. And so I'll set it up and I'll send you the link, and then you can sort of distribute that link via your social media channels. And we could also do an email, like for any normal event, sending it out sort of to everyone on the email. So the normal way we advertise the Speakers Bureau, but instead of, a stake center, we'll have the Zoom link.
Okay, fabulous.
Great, thanks.
Can I ask a follow-up question, Kelly, on that?
Yeah.
So is there a way, how would we go about limiting the number of people on that? Say
I can create a maximum number on the Zoom. Our contract only allows us to have 300.
Right.
And so we can't have more than 300, but if you wanted it to be 50, we could just sort of make it password. There's a lot of different routes we can take to limit the number.
Yeah,
we could create the Zoom, and then it could be done on an invitation basis if that's what you're thinking.
I wonder if there's a way to do it in like the first people to sign up to a certain number or something like that. I'm saying if we get, because we might be able to get Steve Young or someone like that. I don't think they would want they wouldn't want the link going out publicly. They wouldn't.
So we could definitely
use Eventbrite.
Yeah, we would do it on an Eventbrite then, right? Where they would have
to buy tickets or reserve tickets.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and just make them free.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I just want to be able to offer that that it will be a limited number of people. And I mean.
So TJ, did you see the webinar that Steve Young did a few weeks ago?
Mm-mm.
I should see if I could find the link. The Management Society did it, and it was fantastic. It was so good. So I hope that you're able to get that.
Yeah, he's great. But I just think if we're going outside the Speakers Bureau, you end up with people sometimes who I think there's a chance to get people who may be more well known and could drive. We're looking at maybe some Studio C people or somebody like that to get teenagers, to get their parents to tune in, things like that. But we don't want it to be like everybody showing up and have to do it through a Facebook Live or something that's more public. So it can be more personal, more Q&A or something like that.
Yeah, whatever you need, that we can easily make it work via Eventbrite and Zoom. So
great, that's great.
Very flexible.
Thanks.
So TJ, I was just looking up the webinars, that Steve Young webinar. If you want to take a look at it, I can send you the link to it. So it's about an hour.
What was it about? Was it related to COVID, or was it it's for the BYU Management Society generally?
It was actually a little bit more open than that, and he just gave a really good, thoughtful leadership presentation on it. And my guess is that if if you approached him or had the connection there, he could give a similar type message presentation for you there.
Yeah, that's great. Knowing that he's done something recently and has something in the can, probably make it, and that it's flexible whenever he wants to give it.
Whenever he could fit it in. Sure.
I know him, but I mean, I've sent out the email and we'll see what he says.
Yeah, I'll send you this link so you can see what he did.
That'd be great. Thanks.
All right, any other questions? It's officially over? No. All right, thanks for all of your work, everyone.
Hi.
Thank you.
I have one more question.
All right,
Kelly.
question away.
Hi. So sorry.
Okay.
I just received something from, I went to Carolina before I went to BYU, changed my ways. But they're doing virtual lunches with Carolina faculty that I thought was really interesting. They're doing a Zoom webinar, and it's just a series that the alumni in general has set up.
Yeah.
And I just wondered if we could do anything like that where all chapters could sort of piggy bank on that and be able to, and I know they're popular professors on campus that maybe they're all listed in the Speakers Bureau, but is anything like that in the works? Have y'all offered anything like that I'm just not aware of, or is it something that would be of interest?
Alumni as a whole has not, but the Management Society has been doing one every Wednesday at 11.
Oh, okay.
We've been piggybacking with them on the
right.
Michael, do you have anything else to add to that?
No, and we had originally started this year, as you know, with a plan for a combined Management Society and Alumni webinar series that was going to have a half dozen or so throughout the entire year. When the shutdown happened, Management Society took that as their niche and has been utilizing that. Most of our alumni are invited to those. We obviously have some limits with the 300 limits with the platform that we use, 300 person limit with the platform.
Okay.
But if there is, we currently do not have any planned webinars in that space. We're leveraging those that are created in other spaces that are applicable, because most of the things are related to job preparation, to career enhancement, to connecting in this unique time. And we felt, at least initially, that anything we created would be a bit redundant.
Okay, great. Just wanted to know if there's anything if you already had it, but I would love to piggyback on it. But, all right, that's great.
But check out the Management Society ones, and that's a great resource. They're all available on demand on their website, byums.byu.edu. And it's very BYU centric, so I think it'd be helpful.
Okay, that's great. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Donna.
Yeah.
Okay, goodbye. Really, y'all go.
All right. Are there any other questions?
Thank you. It was wonderful.
All right. Thank you, Vicki. Do you have anything, Tiffany?
A question, but I just want to share something. So we in Atlanta, we do alumni and management together, and what we've been doing every week is a networking thing to help the community, because a lot of people looking for jobs and stuff like that. So we do a weekly networking. We call it the Career Connections.
Oh, cool.
So here in the Atlanta area. So people go around. So we invite, and actually, because I also do public affairs here in the Atlanta area, so we email it out to all the stake presidents and everything, because the stake presidents can use this as a job resource for a lot of the members in the area. And so we just offer this so we just get together and people get on Zoom and we just talk about what they're looking for, or if they know of jobs and things like that, and just kind of be as like a community network for people outside of their state boundaries and things like that. So.
And that right there, Tiffany, is a perfect example of an alumni to community true blue event and activity. So I know if you haven't put that into into the reporting system, make sure that it's there, because that certainly would qualify.
Okay, thanks.
And I may have you do something at the chapter conference with that, so heads up. All right, anything else? All right, have a great night, everybody.
You guys are great.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Good night.